Okay, I want to talk about Nathan MacKinnon. Where do you start? Let's start back at the beginning. Let's go back to the beginning. Cole Harbour, Nova Scotia. You grow up, his whole life, he's looking at a guy named Sidney Crosby. Whole life. So as a kid growing up, not even from Cole Harbour, just Canada, you want to mimic a career. You want to go, I want to go play for my home junior team. What does MacKinnon do? Goes and plays for the Mooseheads. When you play for that junior team, I want to win the league championship. What does MacKinnon do? He goes out and wins that league championship. After you do that, maybe you set a goal. Hey, I want to go win the Memorial Cup, the best team in junior when it comes to the country of Canada. What does he do? He goes and does that. After that, what do you want to do? I don't know. Maybe probably go to the NHL like my idol, Sidney Crosby. But not only do you want to go to the NHL, you want to go first overall. So what does MacKinnon do? He does that. Now, let's put into perspective how small Atlantic Canada is. Now let's go into how small Nova Scotia is. And now let's go into how small Cole Harbour is, where his idol is from. Let's just mention that. Growing up, everybody wants to be friends with Sidney Crosby. I still want to be friends with Crosby. Growing up, you want to live the same life, take the same path, and do the exact same career choice as Sidney Crosby. When you're young, when you're a kid, when you grow up, and you realize you're not going to make it, some of your priorities change. I got to pay a bill. I got to go see that girl, and I got to just things. Life happens. I'm sitting here as a 30-year-old man. Life happens. So everyone listening, know that I understand that life happens. But what I'm saying, when you're a kid, you have posters all over your wall. You got the mini sticks in the corner. You're wearing your new hockey helmet to bed. Like, you're that young. You're young. You're a kid. You're dreaming. You just, what I want to do. And for it all to come true. All to come true.
Yeah.
I didn't even mention Shaddix. He went to Shaddix where Crosby went. Next step, junior. I don't really want to go play for Bakemo. Some people knock him on that. I get it. Plays
junior. It's all right.
We're not talking whatever.
NHL here.
Goes and plays for the Halifax Mooseheads. Wins the league championship. Wins the Memorial Cup. By the way, during that Memorial Cup, when he was on the podcast, we talked about this. He was not ranked number 1 going into the NHL draft. It was the defenseman for...
You got it. Come on. Let's hear it.
Jones. No. Yeah. Jones. Seth Jones.
To Nashville.
And he talked about this. He was pissed off. He went into that Memorial Cup a little upset. And he outplayed Jones, and he bumped himself up into the number 1 spot. Don't think for a second that wasn't in the back of his head. Because it was. I asked him. He was sitting right across from me on the podcast. He was sitting right there. And I asked him. He wanted to go number 1, and he was a little upset that he said even on some boards he was ranked like 5th going into the Mem Cup to go 5th overall in the NHL draft. Anyways, back to being a kid. You're sitting there and you're dreaming of a career choice to go play in the NHL, go number 1 overall. And what's the cherry on top of the cake, on whatever you put cherries on top of? What's the cherry on top of everything? You got this. What do you want to do as a kid? You're in the driveway. You're shooting the ball. It's overtime. Breakaway. 3, 2, 1 to win the
cup, buddy. You want to lift that cup.
To win the Stanley Cup. Now, I'm not going to sit here and look at the average person and judge the average person. Most of us aren't going to win a Stanley Cup. Most of us, if we get to see the cup or touch it one day as a fan or as an average citizen, that's a big deal. I touched it once. I'll never forget it. Still haven't washed my hands. For that to come true, after everything I just said about the career choice going number 1 overall, it following the footsteps of the great number 87, and for the cherry on top to win a Stanley Cup after, Nate hasn't had the easiest 9 years in the NHL. No. When he got there, some people questioned whether or not he deserved that number 1 pick. He even said it too. He's like, I didn't have the best couple of years growing up in the NHL. One second. And for him to recognize that and understand that he needed to mature as a hockey player, and for him to be the most dominating hockey player in the playoffs, well, most dominating, but the most effective player in the NHL this year, my God, to win a Stanley Cup. All the shit he had to go through, people saying, oh, he yells at his teammates if they have a donut. You know, like there's so much stuff like and storylines that he had to go through where he's like, all right, like
that's the beauty about Nate. You know, man. He does not care.
He wears his heart on his.
He does not care.
He wears his heart on his
sleeve.
You know what I mean?
Of course.
So that's to do all of that. Yeah, it's awesome. But to do it your way, that's a whole nother thing. He got to where he is by doing it his way. I love his post game interviews. What was it, 2 years ago? Well, I've been in the league, 8 years, going on 9. I haven't won shit.
Yeah, I think that was last year.
Was it last year?
I've been in the league 9 years and I haven't won shit. He
said
it last year, yeah.
Wears his heart on his sleeve.
Yeah.
He's getting interviewed by Kyle Bukauskas. I actually got to talk about that during this podcast, too. You know what happened. I'll tell you in a sec. Yeah, And he goes, yeah, like Crosby was the drunkest at my party. I was the drunkest at Crosby's party. Two of us. Yeah. So when I have my party, he better be the drunkest. Like, just to say that.
He was electric after that win, wasn't he?
The one thing I love about Nate is that you could be sitting in a room having a conversation with him during an NHL media press conference, but he'll be sitting there talking like it's just you and him. Like, he'll just talk to you like you're his buddy. He doesn't care that the world is watching. Hence, wears his heart on his
sleeve.
You know what I mean?
You got it.
Back to the kid thing. You're sitting in bed. You're dreaming. You got posters of Patrick Waugh, Joe Sakic. Colorado was the tits back in the day. I don't know. How old are you? 20?
23.
Did you watch those Colorado Detroit battles?
No, I do remember them very, very vaguely because my brother was a Detroit fan, though. Yes, they won in 2001 there. That was the Waugh 95-6 and then 2001.
Like Joe Sakic back in the day was first of all, his curve was the best curve growing up. So everyone had a Sakic curve if you were a forward. And, him, Patty Waugh, the posters were all over kids' bedrooms. I know they were in mine. Colorado was just the team to be a fan of. I don't know if Nate would have been when he was younger. I don't know. Maybe it was just Pittsburgh with Sid. But nonetheless, to get drafted by them and to have Joe Sakic as your GM and to maneuver your way through this thing called the NHL and to come out on top and actually win a Stanley Cup, bravo.
Dude.
He's every kid's dream come true.
He is. I agree.
If you want to remember those books, Screech Owls, the Screech Owl books.
I don't know if I read those.
You don't remember those Screech Owl books?
No.
Essentially, they just they made every kid's dream come true about going to play in the NHL, or they always said like the Toronto Maple Leafs. They'd be like, yeah, I pulled little Jimmy.
That's more of a nightmare, buddy.
Yeah.
Come on.
But like the essentially like every plot of the book was, I pulled little Jimmy out of elementary school because Matt Sundin needed a winger. And he'd come up and he'd go play with Matt Sundin and they'd go win the cup or something. Like that was the plot for every book pretty much. And the plot of getting from the school to the rink was like, he had to go through a bunch of obstacles. Like, it's a snowstorm, so how is he going to get there?
Yeah.
And you look at the obstacles that Nate had to go through to get to where he is. And yeah, he had a nice guideline of Sid helping him. But you got to remember, Nate's an unbelievable hockey player.
He's top 5 in the world.
Yeah. He's top 5 in the world. Arguably top 3. And for it to come to fruition, it's a I don't want to say fairy tale, but it's a dream come true. It's a dream come true. You sit there as a kid and you picture your life. Not many of us, when you picture your life as a kid, does it come true. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't for some kids, but to look at your life very vividly at a young age and for it to come true.
Dude, I know.
That's some universe stuff. If you enjoyed that clip, make sure to click subscribe below. Make sure you don't miss out on any other clips that the High Button Podcast puts out, any other full episodes that the High Button Podcast puts out, and any other pieces of content distributed out there into the YouTube world from High Button Sports. All right, it's free. Just click subscribe below. Thanks.